things that come to mind. Like summer is a beautiful time. You know, you have the kids getting out of school, you have family reunions, you have barbecues, you have women wearing sundresses. Fellas, you know about those women in those sundresses.
All right.
But unfortunately for me, summer wasn't always a positive. It wasn't always sunshine and rainbows. Growing up, I had an issue that I'm sure that some of you guys can relate to. I used to pee in the bed when I was young. And it's embarrassing, right? Because, you know, I would try to have friends come over, and before they even got to my room, they're like, "Oh, you pee in the bed." It's like, well, wait, like, how you gonna prejudge me like that? You haven't even made it to my room. Like, what about my Ninja Turtle collection, right? Not only was it embarrassing, it was expensive. I mean, there's, you know, you have a mattress, and mattresses are expensive, and there's other attributes to like peeing in the bed. There's the stains, and then there's the smell. Maybe that's how they do it, peeing in the bed. So my mom, like, she came up with like solutions to try to help me with this issue. So one of her greatest solutions was she enforced a drink curfew. So what a drink curfew is that after 6 o'clock, I wasn't allowed to have any liquids at all. Which in theory would work well, but for me, it wasn't gonna fly. Like, sometimes I didn't go to bed till like 10 o'clock, so that's like 4 hours of not drinking anything. You know, sometimes we have late dinner. What if she made cornbread? I'm just supposed to have dry ass mouth without drinks until the morning. So it wasn't working with me. So at night, I would sneak down to the fridge and I would, you know, get my drink on. And it worked for a while. But she, you know, I didn't stop peeing in the bed, so she realized something wasn't working. So she started marking the level of the liquids. Right, she got smart, right? Started marking the level of the liquids when she went to bed. So at first I thought she had me, but I'm pretty resourceful. So I was like, I'm gonna take a couple drinks and I'm gonna just refill it with water. And it worked. It worked for a while. And then she got tired of having flat ass pop, so she got even smarter. So she's like, all right, I'm gonna just put unopened bottles of pop in the fridge. Because I didn't go for the soft stuff. I didn't want milk or water. Like, I needed the pop, right? So I thought she had me again, but again, I'm resourceful, I'm smart. So I come down and I realized that you can like crack open the bottle, and just before you break the seal, there's air that comes out. Like, I was scientific with it, right? So if you awkwardly wrap your mouth around the top, you can squeeze and pop will come out. So it worked for me. Like, I would squeeze, and you had to have like just the right amount, because if you squeeze too much, it wouldn't go back to where it needed to be. So, you know, just squeeze a little bit, quench my thirst, and then go back to bed. So that worked for a while. And then I got greedy, and one day I was just, you know, squeezing too much. And the pop was down to like where the label's at, and that's low, right? So I'm like, I'm screwed. Like, the jig is up. She's gonna catch me. But then I saw other bottles, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna just drink all those other bottles, and the shit just think it's just some weird conspiracy. Not one of my brightest moments. So that didn't work. And so through the rest of I had this issue through elementary and through middle school, and we just assumed that eventually I would like outgrow it. Like there was an age where I would magically stop peeing in the bed. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So, you know, it even carried on into high school. That's embarrassing to say. So it carried on into high school, but it didn't prevent me from doing all the cool summer events. Like, I wanted to go to church camp. And if any of you guys have ever been to camp, like, camp is a place where you're expected to bond. Like, you bond with people, right? And church camp is like bonding times 10. Because you got Jesus and God, and you got all those elements. So after a night of bonding with Jesus and all of my fellow friends, we all get back to our bunks. And in our bunks, we have about 5 to 6 bunk beds. And one of the guys suggests that we should push all the beds together and make like this giant super bunk bed. And I'm like, yeah, that's dope. Yeah, let's do that. And then I'm like, wait, I got this issue. But no one else knew about my issue. So I'm like, you know, I just gotta have it out. You know, as long as I'm on the end, I can, you know, maybe get the sheets off if it happens. So I'm good. So I sleep on the end near the window. And that night, I go to bed and I expect, just like any normal person, that I would wake up dry. And I did, because I was anxious, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I woke up dry, so I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good. So then I go back to sleep, and then when I wake up again, I'm not so fortunate. So I wake up and I'm soaked in my own piss, obviously. And so I'm like, you know what, this is not good, I gotta get these sheets off. But since we're in this giant super bunk bed, the guy next to me is like on the edge of my sheet. So I couldn't just pull the sheets off without alerting him to my issue. So I'm looking around the room and I'm like, okay, I gotta figure this out. And I look out the window and it's raining. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna open up the window, and I open up the window and some water comes in, and I'm like, okay, I can work with this. Let's see if this works. So I pretend to go back to sleep. And then again, I pretend to wake up when everyone else does. And as I wake up, I'm like, oh man, who left the window open? Like, I'm all wet now. And they're like, oh bro, you need us to help you? I'm like, no, I'm good. I got this. I just wanted y'all to know I'm wet because of the water outside. So miraculously, I dodged a bullet of humiliation. And the rest of the camp went well. Like, it was good. We got our bond on. And throughout high school, things got a little bit better. There were still those one-offs where I would still wet the bed or wake up wet. But for the most part, things were good. And I think my biggest motivation was, the ladies. It's not attractive to pee in the bed. Like, you can't have a girl up to your bedroom and she sits on your bed and there's a wet spot. And you're like, but wait, see, you don't understand. See, what happened was I got a baby brother or I got a puppy, either way, it's still pee. Like, that's nasty. So with the help of a lot of incense and a lot of candles, I still maintain my reputation. So we get to my senior year of high school, and it's the summertime and we're gonna go on our senior trip. And we're gonna do it big. Like, we're gonna go out the country and we're gonna make things happen. So we're in Niagara Falls, and that was a joke. Okay. So we're in Niagara Falls, and I'm doing it big. Like, I'm drinking past 6 o'clock. I'm waking up dry. Like, life is good, right? And just a caveat to the story. So I graduated at the top of my class. It was only a class of 6, but I graduated at the top of my class. So there was 5 guys and 1 girl in my senior class. So they pushed all us guys in one room. So there was 2 to a bed, 1 on the floor. So somehow I get the bed and I'm sleeping next to a guy, which is cool for normal people, but I still have my issue that happens every now and then. So one night, we're having a good time, and just before bed, I'm good. I've been waking up dry. I take a couple sips of my Mountain Dew, and I set it next to my bed, and I go to sleep, and I expect to wake up just like any normal person, dry. And yet again, I'm disappointed. I wake up and I'm soaked in pee, and I have this guy next to me in this bed of pee. So obviously I can't change the sheet. So I'm like, okay, I gotta get out of this. So I'm freaking out and I'm looking around and I see the Mountain Dew and I'm like, okay, this is a stretch, and maybe we can make this work. So I get the Mountain Dew. And I pretend that I'm going to drink it, and I accidentally pour a little bit on my shirt, and I accidentally pour a little bit on my pants, and a little bit on the bed, and a little bit on him for good measure. And he wakes up and he's like, dude, what the? And I'm like, bro, see, what happened was I was drinking, it was an accident. He was like, it's all good. I mean, it's only Mountain Dew, right? And I'm like, yeah. You can't just tell somebody you just pissed on them. Not a good look. So, again, I dodged this bullet of humiliation. And the rest of the trip went well. The rest of high school went well, of course, because I graduated. And, I became an adult. And finally, I stopped peeing in the bed. I reached the age where I didn't pee in the bed anymore. I didn't have any issues. So I felt like a man. And a couple summers when I was in my 20s, I was about to get my first apartment. So I had to retire the futon, and I was going to get, an adult type bed. But adult type beds are expensive, and mattresses are expensive. So I decided I was going to get an air mattress, because air. It has to be comfortable, right? But I wasn't gonna be cheap about it. I was gonna splurge. So I got the king size, extra double wide with the pad, the built-in pump. So, I was living it up. And at that time, my girlfriend would stay the night. And things were good, life was good. And then one night, I go to sleep and I expect to wake up just like any normal person would dry. And I wake up the next morning, and I think like all the times I didn't pee in the bed had like bottled up in my bladder, and that night I like released it, because it was like record-breaking amounts of piss. Like, I was covered from like knee to nipple in just pee. And so I wake up and I'm like in this puddle of pee because the bed had deflated a little bit. So I'm in like a kiddie pool size of pee, and just as I'm realizing what I'm in, like my girlfriend wakes up. And I can't explain this to her. Like, she's like, why am I wet? And I'm like, see, baby, what happened was I get hot at night and we sweat. And she's like, no, you peed on me. And I'm like, how you just gonna make assumptions like that? Like, I just peed on you. She's like, cause I'm wet and it smells like pee. So, okay, she had it. I peed on her. And so I did dodge that bullet of humiliation, but I wasn't really humiliated. I was more so impressed with myself that I could hold so much pee that would drench like two people. So we stayed together. After you pee on somebody, bonds get stronger, right? So we were good. Like, our relationship was good. And as I look back through that journey of peeing in the bed, I realize that we all have our issues, right? And the issues that we have could be much worse. There's always someone who has a worse issue, even relative to ourselves. I could have easily been the person that shit the bed, which is a far worse issue to have. Can you imagine the story if I did that? So, and I look back on those summers, and the only issue I have, the only thing I have to worry about is I have to dodge these metaphorical bullets of humiliation. And we fast forward to 2016 as a black man in America, and I have to actually worry about dodging real bullets. Thank you.
Keep it going for the vulnerability of Hemory Phifer.